Good morning, folks. Today we've got a look at continued solar activity, a full diagnosis of the CME heading at Earth right now, and some critical catastrophism news in the journals. We are starting with our star at spaceweathernews.com, and we begin with the M-class solar flare that erupted the CME. After that eruption, the north-central sunspot became less angry throughout the day, while its cousins around the disk picked up the pace. After the M-class flare, we see smaller signatures on the X-ray flux, and when we come to the mostly X-ray viewer in 94 angstroms, we see the central flare, but afterwards, it's the spots near the limbs north and south that produce the brightness. Multiple active regions to monitor today, and sure, one more look at this active region unloading a bulk of plasma and then releasing the arching umbral fields over top of them. Looking at the solar wind, the blue panel, second from the top, phi angle of the solar wind, flipped nicely yesterday, and we are expecting impact from a coronal hole stream here today. Its geomagnetic effects are paramount to monitor because tomorrow, that CME is going to impact Earth. The widespread ejecta from the active region energy release is fully updated on all coronagraphs and the Enlil spirals. Full halo CME indeed. Everyone has it coming our way. Impact tomorrow. And on NOAA's Enlil spiral, which is often much more detailed, you can see that a wildly fast component of the eruption is thankfully going to miss us to the north. That is a major CME component about to sail over the North Pole. In all, the CME is good for a low-level geomagnetic storm, KP5 or 6. However, if that's what the coronal hole stream brings as the CME impacts, we could go even higher on the geomagnetic storm chart. But there's still far less than a 1% chance that this is going to be the global grid killer. So enjoy the auroras, monitor localized events, and have no fear. None of yesterday's quakes match up to the 7-pointer in Vanuatu that we shared yesterday morning, but this is a lot of blood echoes in South America where they're way overdue for a big one. Also have more activity than we like to see up near Puerto Rico. Felt this one made sense to kick off the science today. Time from CME impact and geomagnetic storm onset to maximum current and disruption points. First one is about 40 minutes after the shockwave impact, and the biggest occurs with the DST minimum, the largest deviation of the magnetic field minimum in the storm, about 5 hours later. Now, let's go way out to a star and planet that we've covered before. Last year, we looked at WASP 67b because they said it was super hot and had literal molten iron rain on the planet. Today, they're not changing that, just saying the molten iron might be glowing a bit more yellow than red. Planet actually well hotter than they believed, and they already believed it was a planet like hell. A cautionary tale in paleomagnetism up next, where previous studies had found pre-Cambrian geomagnetism to be relatively subdued. New findings show it was extremely variable, as wildly back and forth and strong and weak and up and down back then as it has been since. Then, it's Lake Moon spilling its secrets on Earth's catastrophe cycle as both the Helena-Pali half-cycle event and the Younger Dryas, the last full-cycle event, show up nicely. The very last half-cycle event, Noah's flood, is getting more information as the Sahara's greenest point identifiable in history was 6,000 years ago, a completely different world than we see now. It had widespread wetlands back then. Up next, this paper ties major tropical hydroclimate events to the Heinrich events, which are already tied to solar events, and we confirm that these approximately 6,000-year occurrences bring cold to the north and extreme hydroclimate shifts in the tropics. The events are described as abrupt and extreme. Perhaps we should call them Heinrich and hydroclimate events. And last but not least, so very close. These authors see a spike around 5,400 years ago. The isotope dating they're using tells me it's really closer to that 6,000-year mark. And here they notice so much cosmic energy influx over such a period of time that neither outbursts from the sun nor grand solar minimum cosmic ray amplification can explain it. They try, sort of haphazardly, to explain it with a super grand minimum at that time, which didn't happen, and we know it didn't from literally all other records. However, a rapid collapse and excursion of the field at the Noah event perfectly explains the signature, not a one-off burst from the sun. Too severe and too fast a drop for grand solar minimum, but a perfect match for a half-cycle mini-magnetic excursion. We greatly appreciate your support. Website members, got a bunch of deeper look episodes to catch up on. Top recommendations of late are the Pluto atmospheric collapse, a 30-minute compilation of the best space weather health videos we've made over the last 5 years, and the micronova and magnetic excursion and Earth tilt videos back from early September. We've got wind maps and shots of our star to close. Subscribe and we'll do this all again tomorrow. Right here, but right now at 6 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open. No fear. Be safe, everyone.